Welcome to the Male Fertility Podcast, a podcast designed to help, support and educate men as they go through their own fertility struggles. Hi, I'm Ciaran.
And I'm Shaun, and we'll do that by sharing our stories of what we went through, as well as having guests share their knowledge and experience. Right, let's get into today's episode. So, here we are, again. That's
We're the only ones that are going to get this joke, mate.
Definitely, I know. Well, just to give that some background, so this is an introductory episode. We're just here to talk about, kind of announce us as a new podcast, talk about what we're here for. But this isn't the first time we've done this. We've had quite a few technological issues leading up to now. Probably the fourth or fifth time we've recorded this now.
Fourth. No, it's got to be the fifth. It's got to be the fifth.
Yeah. What was it they say? Lucky number 5, right?
Lucky number 5. Well, we're nearly a minute in, and nothing's gone wrong so far. So I think we just crack on, and it will be fine.
Absolutely. But right, well, this is it. Let's introduce ourselves. We're finally here. This is the one that's going out. I can feel it in my bones. But like we said in the very start of the podcast, that introductory message says that we are here to talk about all things male fertility, and it's an important message to get out there. So I suppose we should talk about how it came about, really.
Yeah, I mean, it was February early this year. I kind of contacted you about something not completely different, but we weren't thinking about a podcast in the initial message. I actually think it was I came with the idea about meeting up in the gym and recording it and talking about our fertility journeys. And I kind of, as we were discussing it, I was like, well, I've always wanted to do a podcast. I'm gonna ask Shaun. And I asked you and you said yes, and it's kind of been a road to get to this point, but that's when it started, on a sunny day in February this year. I remember it really clearly, actually, and it doesn't seem long ago, but a lot's happened since then, because we're both really keen on getting a podcast out there that people can really relate to, and that it's high quality and something that people can use and is beneficial. And I think we're there now. We've taken our time, and I know we've had a joke about, a few things have gone wrong technically, but we've also been making sure it's right before we put it out. And I think we're there now. We're at the foot, aren't we? We're at the foot of that's a mountain, as they say, ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, you know all about mountains. You went up to base camp, didn't you, of Everest for fertility, for men's fertility. So,
great trip, mate. I'm sure we'll cover it at some point. I would really like to.
Definitely. Yeah, get all the chaps on.
Come on. I think they'd really like to kind of reminisce about the cold and the hills, but more about why we went. And that's why we're doing this, isn't it, mate? To kind of raise that awareness of male infertility, to break the stigma around it, and just be kind of that familiar voice for men going through journeys similar to us that we went through. That's probably a good point to kind of briefly discuss kind of our own journeys very briefly, so people understand a little bit more of our background. But I know we're going to cover it in later episodes, but I think it'd be good for listeners just to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Like you've already touched upon the fact that it's taken a long time to get here, but actually, that when you partner that with fertility in general, it's always a long process, and we can both relate to that, can't we? I mean, my journey, for example, stretched 4 years, and so my wife and I started trying in 2017. In early 2018, I was diagnosed with azoospermia, which is I had 0 sperm, and quite frankly, it's a life-changing word. It was a life-changing moment the day I got told I had that, and that really then just thrust me into this whole new world and a lot of pain, a lot of shame as well, and like you said, the stigma as a man of being in that in this new world I didn't want to be in. And what didn't help is that when I looked around, when I searched online, when I spoke to the urologists, the doctors that I was speaking to, no one knew of any other men talking about this. I couldn't find any online, and that's why now I feel a responsibility to go back and share my story and actually show that other men are not alone. I know you think the same. You know, we're both of the similar thinking in that there's like what 60 to 80 million people, men
Yeah.
worldwide going through this, and the importance is if more of us are talking, then it absolutely just erodes that message that of shame and of isolation, because it's not the case. And we'll go in, like you said, we'll go into our stories in more detail down the line. But mine ended with a happy ending. I had my twins, Ray and Evelyn. Should say our twins. My lovely wife Jenna and I. It takes two to tango and all that. But Ray and Evelyn came along in 2021, and everything changed for the better after that. And like I always say, I wouldn't change a single thing either of what we went through, because it took me where we were supposed to be, and that was becoming a donor recipient father, because we used donor sperm to get there in the end. I had a couple of operations, it didn't work, and I wouldn't change those. I wouldn't change a single thing, because I was always meant to be their father, and that's exactly what I am. And that's why this podcast is so important to us. It's another way of getting that message out, which is key. And like you said, it's taken us 8 months to get here, but that's because we are so passionate about getting
Yeah,
it
yeah.
right.
I mean, I totally agree. I mean, so much that you've said there like resonates with my own feelings about what I experienced and the whole kind of male fertility world. I think it's fair to say that we had two very different experiences. We've come from two different complete angles, but what we talk about are similar things. We've had loads of discussions off air, and we've got to know each other pretty well, haven't we, mate? And so many times it's been like, oh yeah, I experienced that. I felt like that, and that's why we're doing this, isn't it? So I suppose I better mention a bit about where kind of my little journey and it was nearly 10 years, my journey. And from
Wow.
beginning to end, from getting the diagnosis in 2011, 2012, I think it was January 2012, to my daughter being born, which was my second child, which ended the journey for me. Um, but in a nutshell, I was diagnosed with male factor infertility in 2012 out of nowhere. Now, my wife had PCOS, and we knew that we were going to need some treatment. But I was right at the last minute tested just to make sure that we could go ahead. And I was told, you know, you're infertile. You have a very low sperm count, low mobility, low morphology, and like you said, mate, it shakes your world. Absolutely shakes your world. And it was a very up and down journey for the next 5 years until my son Sebastian was born. And I look forward to telling that story um, because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the world at that point. Um, but funnily enough, it didn't end once Sebi was born. It kind of, the mental struggles connected to it carried on. And I think people that I've spoken to who have had a similar story to me have experienced that as well, which is really interesting. But I wouldn't have known that unless people were talking. And you've said it. I'm going to say it again now. That's why we're doing this, to get talking, and to let people know that they're not the only ones, and there are people out there that have been through this. I mean, we're in a lucky position now that we can sit back and we can, I wouldn't say reminisce about it, but we can look back and really process what's going on and pick it apart, talk about the serious stuff, have chuckles about the funny stuff that happened, because we've talked about that as well. Several funny things happened along the way, but there are people out there experiencing it right now, and they need that support right now. So I just
Yeah.
can't wait to really crack on and do that, so people can just log in and listen to us, and try and get that support that we both wish we had mate.
Yeah. That's it, mate. That's exactly it. And I'm so pleased that we are coming at it from different angles, but it's still in the same umbrella of
Mm.
male fertility, because that's the thing. We all experience the same kind of the hardships and that trauma, that grief, and like you said, that shame and the stigma. But there are many different ways in
Yeah,
which you get brought here, and the important overall message that we'll both be showing is that actually there is another side to it. And like you said as well, you almost get to like forensically analyze
yeah,
it when you look back and remember those times, because of course there are times when you're in it and you can't see the wood through the trees because you're just shrouded in all this pain and this upset, and you don't know if it's ever going to end. And so for us, we can come back with that kind of the clearer story of what happened and what got us through it, because yeah, I'm 100%
right.
a different person, but for the better, and I'm stronger, and ultimately not just a stronger and better man, but a stronger and better father now than I would have been had I not gone through this. And I'm almost grateful for what I've been through, because it's changed me, and it's given us the chance now to share how our perceptions change, and what we did to get through it, and share those kind of hints and tips, and give people tools to put in their toolbox to help them
Yeah,
through
yeah.
it
I
as
mean,
well.
you talked about change. Like it changed me as a man. It really did, and it made me a better dad. At the end of the day, it has made me a better father, and made me a better husband. Like without a doubt, because it puts strain. It puts strain on a relationship, and we're going to be talking about things like that through this podcast. Specifically in the first series, we're really going to go into depth about us, aren't we, mate? And
Yeah.
I think there were times when we really hit some rocky roads, me and Jen. And I know I've talked to people, and a fertility journey is something that can easily really shatter a relationship, um, not just physically, but also mentally. Like you feel like you're miles apart,
Mm.
and you physically feel like you're miles apart as well. But I mean, that's just one topic we're going to be covering, isn't it? I mean, we're going to be looking and discussing, like you said, about the tips, lifestyle changes that we both made, um, how we were able to implement it into our lives, how we felt when we were doing them. I mean, I remember like giving up drinking for the first time, and the looks and the responses I got from people that I thought were my mates. Relationships with other people changed, relationships with my family changed. People didn't share the same view as I did, um, and I think it's a reoccurring theme when I talk to men. Like they'll talk to their family about their fertility journey, and they often don't get the response that they want, and it's hard to manage that and to
Yeah.
understand that and how to process that yourself, let alone letting someone like your mum or your dad kind of process it themselves.
Mm.
Um, but so many interesting topics to talk about and bring our own experience to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Like you said, we're going to be sharing our own stories, and there are so many facets of that
yeah,
along the way, and there's a combined 14 years of struggle between us. That's a lot of experience, a lot of different things that we've done along the line. And like you said, there are times where it does become harder in the relationship, and certainly I experienced that as well. And so, there's no holds barred really for me with this. I'm an open book, and because I feel that if there's something that I went through that can help someone else, then that's exactly why I'm here. And later on down the line, we hope to get experts on as well, and other people that have been through it to hear their stories, because again, everyone has their own perceptions and different experiences. And it's important that we shine a light on as many different people and as many different experiences as we can.
yeah. I mean, we've talked about this as well. The fact of I'm keen of getting our audience to kind of interact with us and to ask us these questions, ask us specific questions like
Mm,
how did you feel when this happened? How did you prepare for this? I mean, like going into a fertility clinic for the first time and knowing that you're going to give your sample, like it's nerve wracking, like
yeah,
really nerve wracking. And how do you prepare for that? there's not like a little manual to tell you.
No.
You kind of have to go in and you got to do the deed, and you think you're the only one there, even though you're not, and you know you're not because you're in a fertility clinic. But or you think like no one else is going through this, when in
Yeah.
fact there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 people in the same building doing the same thing, but you have no experience of it. So it's going to be really interesting, and I'm looking forward to like sharing our experiences around specific things like that, and that's going to be, listener led.
Like you said, to help the people that are in the trenches there and then, and we're that metaphorical arm around the shoulder, really, and we'll try and do whatever we can to help chaps all along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't kind of asked you this question, but if someone was listening now, what's the one bit of advice you'd give them? Like,
Well, 100% that you're not alone, because, like we've both said already, that's how we felt. And thankfully now there are others talking about it. You and I are here now doing this, and if know that you're not alone, and then you have a place to come to speak, to reach out, and
yeah,
immediately that lessens the burden. I can say that 100%. As soon as you start talking to others who are going through it, because you touched upon the kind of the things that the family and friends who have no experience of it, that the stuff they can say isn't always helpful, and
no,
that's something that we'll address down the line as well. But it's that kind of almost toxic positivity, those crap stories that you get from them of, oh, my cousin twice removed aunt Budgie went on holiday and all this bullshit.
and
It's
relax.
just,
It's all right to
yeah,
just go
just
relax.
relax. But it's all a load of crap, and it's spreading the message for them as well, because this isn't just for guys that are going through it. It's for their partners. It's for family members, friends, about how they can educate themselves as to
Yeah,
what that person's going through and what they need from you as well.
yeah, yeah. I think I would echo that. Finding someone to talk to that's got a similar experience, or just to listen to like this, really, really, really would have lessened my burden. As we say, it
Mm,
would have made me feel better about the situation. Um, Me personally, what massively helped me was my exercise, and we've talked about this before. Like, find someone to talk to and get active. Being active, even if it's just going for a long walk and having time to process things. It, that physical activity is a real stress release. So get talking to someone, find someone, or listen to us if that's how you want to kind of get that input, to know that you're not alone, because you're not, and get active, get out, get walking.
yeah,
If you can enjoy going to the gym, go to the gym. Get that nervous energy out, because that's how I used to describe it: constant anxiety, constant nervous energy. Because it is a. I mean, we've talked about the word journey, haven't we? We don't really particularly like it.
well, fair enough. It's taken 18 minutes, but you just dropped the J bomb.
I did earlier, but I didn't
Did
say
you?
anything. Yeah, I know you're not fond on
Did,
it, mate, but
the thing is,
it's
like I struggle to actually sometimes come up with another word. Like, I don't know, what was it you said before?
experience.
Experience, and I said, yeah, that sounds like you've been away canyoning for the weekend.
Yeah, that's it. It's like
What
a
was your
red letter
experience of
day.
canyoning? Yeah, it didn't quite feel appropriate, but yeah, it's the journey, the J word. It's
The
probably
journey.
will come up the journey, but
Yeah, it's
yeah,
hard to. It'd be interesting to know if anyone else has got a word for it,
mm,
like something they call it. I bet there's some interesting ones.
definitely,
Oh, I hope there is. Like, I think that should be one of our missions. This series, to find a new word for
yeah,
the journey.
trailblaze. We'll
Trailblaze,
have
yeah,
to
trailblaze.
copyright it.
Copyright it, get it out there, all over you know, the the, the marketing. I don't know
Yeah,
I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll get get it on t-shirts or something.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
yeah, it's an incredibly tough thing, and everyone who's in it is chasing the same thing.
yeah,
But everyone's experience is slightly different. Um, and I'm just really looking forward to kind of sharing our experiences and just helping as many people as we can.
Yeah.
Because and this isn't just I expect the majority of people that our target audience is men, but I'm fully aware that there'd be partners and wives listening to this, um, wondering how they can help their husbands that
Yeah.
are in those trenches, and we want to be the arm for them as well.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we plan
Yeah.
on getting at some point during the series of getting the wives on, don't we, to talk about
Absolutely.
how
That's
what it was like to live with us while we were
yeah.
going through it, because that's something that I'm aware of, but we've never really, me and Jen have never really had that conversation. You know, at my worst, how hard was it? What would
Yeah.
have made it easier? What did you want me to do? How, from an outsider's point of view, what could I have done earlier? Um, Really interesting conversation that would be. I
Yeah.
mean, I expect they're going to sit and moan at us for quite a while.
Giving them a public platform to do it.
That's it. Really, are you putting this out, boys? Yeah, right. And they'll just cut us off, mate, and chat between themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that being said, well, I'll go into more detail obviously during the chat about my own story, but I generally don't think I'd be here without my wife, and
No.
that's a real big statement to make.
Mm.
She was there at the right time, and I can never thank her enough for that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same. I definitely won't let her listen to this bit, but no, I lent on her a lot. I needed her strength,
yeah,
and she shouldered a lot of it for me as essentially couple infertility because I wasn't talking about it. So whenever we were discussing with other people about the fact that we were struggling, it was we, and of
yeah,
course we were in it together. Like not saying it ever should have been put just on me anyway, but she she was always very vague about what it was, what the reason, because she knew I wasn't ready to talk about it.
yeah,
So I'm forever grateful for that, and obviously now I'm in a different place, and we are the better for it as a couple as well.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
like me and Jen often talk about, we have friends that break up and things like that, and I think what we went through has made us so strong that I'd never be without her and she wouldn't be without me. But you have to go through those trenches, and I'm indebted to her. Let's put it like
yeah,
that. And part of it is, and I know that a lot of men feel like this, especially if it's male factor. There's a lot of
yeah,
guilt as a man,
yeah, definitely.
and if you've got a strong partner that stands next to you, it does make it so much easier. But we
Yeah,
can get into that conversation, and I look forward to being grilled by them both at some point.
yes, definitely. God, it'd be like Jeremy Paxman won't have nothing on them. But
Yeah, because the problem is as well, they know the secret. So if I tell a story slightly different, she will butt in and be like, "No, that's not
amazing,
right."
holding you fully accountable.
Fully accountable, mate. Fully
Yeah,
accountable. But I guess that's kind of brings us to an end to our like little
yeah,
introductory episode, isn't it? Like
yeah,
the next episode is going to be about one of our stories,
yeah.
um, and it will be out. So we're going to talk briefly about our structure, weren't we? What the plans were in terms of bringing this out. Um,
Yeah, so this introductory episode will drop on the 25th of October, which is a Wednesday. I'm just going to double check.
it's next Wednesday, I believe. Yeah.
No, not next Wednesday. Got a bit more time to play with,
Oh, is
but
it? Oh,
the one
I'm
after
doing that thing
next.
again. I'm doing that thing
So,
again where I jump ahead of myself, and
but yeah, Wednesday the 25th. This one will drop,
that's it. That's
and
it.
then the first episode proper drops a week later on Wednesday the 1st of November, which ties in with Men's Health Month.
Oh yeah, that was the plan, wasn't it? That's the plan we
Yeah,
came up with, and very fitting, I think. Really, really
absolutely.
fitting.
Yeah,
It's a good place to kick it all off, and I can't wait, mate. I just can't
yeah.
wait to get this started. So
No, you're right.
I think we'll see you soon, and we look forward to hearing from you really soon. I hope, obviously, when this goes out, people start contacting us because that's what it's
Yeah.
about. And
Contact us on Instagram. The account is the Male Fertility Podcast. I had to double check that, but it is the Male Fertility Podcast. So in the meantime, we will see you next week, and cheers until then.
Take care, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.